All right, so today we are going to talk about mental health in the time of coronavirus. My name is Dr. Julie Gurner, and I am an executive performance coach, but I am also a doctor of clinical psychology. Usually I'm speaking with executives, but today I'm talking with you about mental health, the time of coronavirus, and we're going to talk about thoughts, feelings, behaviors, all those things so necessary to psychology, but also so necessary to our mental health. You know, we're all going through such a strange and different time right now because of coronavirus, right? So much of life has to change. Our behaviors, what we're doing, and how we're interacting with other people. And because of that, that can generate all sorts of different feelings. Now, we're going to talk about not only what those feelings are, but what to do with them, how to manage them, so that you can be your best self, not just during coronavirus, but no matter what is happening outside, no matter what is happening in your life. And so these are skills you can take not just from today, but hopefully to carry through for the rest of your life. So mental health is going to be our focus today, and it's absolutely essential right now, as essential to something like physical health. But let me tell you a secret. Mental health is the most important thing that you can do for your happiness. It's the most important thing that anyone can do for their happiness. So we're going to talk a little bit about what mental health is and the components to that. So let's kick off with that first. So there are really three components to mental health. There's the emotional, the psychological, and the social components to mental health. So our emotional well-being is what we feel, our psychological well-being is how we're thinking, and our social well-being is our interactions with other people. So you can see how one impacts the other. If the social is off, it's going to throw psychological and emotional off. If our emotional is off, it's going to affect our psychological and social well-being. So when you think about it, this is perfectly positioned for something like coronavirus that has spread to every part of the world, right? It's in America and Asia and Europe. It keeps us all indoors more than we like, no matter what the weather. The stores are closed, most of our schools are closed, and a lot of the things that make us happy, things like going out to play sports or hanging out with our friends, are things that we just can't do. So it certainly impacts our mental health. Now remember, so mental health is how we are feeling, how we're thinking, how we're socializing. Pretty clear that this is an area we need to pay attention to. But I want to take us back a little bit in mental health. And I want to show you something that I bet none of you have seen, but I bet none of your parents have seen. And it's something that I have, which is a massive lock. I mean, check this thing out. It's like as big as the palm of my hand, and I have pretty big hands. It's also really thick. Now, this lock is 123 years old. It's from 1897. And the thing about this lock is that it's from a place called Georgia State Sanitarium. Now, we used to think that people with certain struggles were so different than us that we used to keep them kind of locked away. You know, we felt they were so different. They had, you know, these places had different names. They were called sanitariums, asylums, state hospitals. You know, we used to have these odd feelings and we didn't understand why people experienced them. And what we learned is that it doesn't make you bad or weak or different to experience different types of emotional things or mental health issues. It just kind of makes you human. So there's a range of mental health issues that people can experience. And you know, we've learned a lot since that time, thankfully. But one of the things that we have to know is that mental health is just like physical health. There's a lot of things that we can experience. So while someone might experience asthma and physical health and mental health, they may experience something like anxiety. You can experience, you know, diabetes and physical health. You can experience depression and your mental health. All of those things are totally normal. And, you know, we understand that they're all one and the same, and we have to take care of both physical and emotional and mental health. So people struggle with a lot of different things. They're just different ways to struggle. Now, thankfully, we have to stay inside, but we're choosing to stay inside, right? Like, this is voluntary. We are choosing to be helpers. We are choosing to do certain things like wash our hands or even wear a mask, and we're not locked away. We're making a choice, it's voluntary, and that makes the whole thing a little bit different. And even though we're choosing to keep ourselves and our family and other people safe, and we're these helpers, it doesn't mean that we don't have some impacts from this and that it doesn't affect us as well. This can still be hard for us too. So we need to take care of our mental health. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that, how to take charge of our feelings, how to really manage those feelings, because we have the power to do that. A lot of times we think, oh, there's nothing we can do, but there are some things that we can do. So we're going to start looking at that process, and we're going to learn how to take care of that mental health. So let's kind of move forward a little bit and talk about that. So there's a lot of different feelings that people are experiencing, but what we need to know is what they are and how you can feel a little bit better. Now, the first step in kind of addressing this is that, man, you have to know what the feelings are. And in truth, there's a lot of different things that we could be experiencing right now. But there's a really important component to this. And you're going to go, Dr. Gurner, this is so easy, this is so obvious, but it's not. The first thing we have to do is actually name what the feeling is. Everybody goes through these experiences differently. So the feelings that you're having may be different than the feelings your parents are having or your friends are having. But the other important part about naming what the feeling is that most people, even most adults, let their feelings build up. They don't name them. They don't piece them apart. They let them build. And so they swell like a balloon inside until all of a sudden you just feel overwhelmed and you don't know why. The most important part we start with is naming what that feeling is. And you have a lot of different feelings that you're probably experiencing right now. And we're going to get to the methods of what you do with those feelings. But you can't address a feeling if you don't know what it is. So the first part of this is name that feeling. So a lot of times, because people are so not used to even talking about feelings, I'm going to help you by telling you a little bit of the feelings that I've heard some people experiencing right now. See what you think and if any of these really relate to you. So the first experience that I've heard people really talking a lot about is the feeling of grief. And grief is a deep feeling of sorrow. Now, you may think grief is just about death, and it's not. Grief is a sense of loss. And when you think about what's going on right now, and you think about the experience of loss, even with the death of someone or something that you love, it's a loss of the experiences that you used to have. And this is kind of like that in a way. A deep sadness, deep sorrow. We're grieving the things we used to do. We're not able to do them right now. We're making a choice to help other people, but that choice is still really hard sometimes. It's still a loss for us. We can feel lonely, and grief goes through so many other emotions as well. We can't know the future, and grief can feel like things like frustration, right? We want things to be different than they are. We want to be able to do all these things that we used to do. We can get angry, grumpier easily. We can get annoyed, and it's important to know that all of that is totally normal. So grief is one of those experiences that a lot of people are going through right now, and maybe you're going through some of those as well. The second big emotion that I've heard other people experiencing, though, is this one, and I'm sure you've heard this one too. Anxiety, right? Feeling stressed, afraid, or worried. Now, this is another totally natural thing to be experiencing right now because a lot of people are nervous or stressed about the virus. We're nervous or stressed because it changes even our behavior. We have to watch what we touch. We don't want to touch our face. We have to wash our hands. We got to make sure we wear a mask. We got to make sure we keep distance. There's so many different things we have to think about that it can really stress us out. But also we worry about things like getting sick or other people getting sick. We hear the news and that can seem really panicky from time to time. It's a weird experience and everyone's trying to figure it out. But again, I want you to really think about naming those feelings you're having. stressed, afraid, worried. Like, think about what you're experiencing and what that is. So what I'm going to do is give you a minute, probably not a minute, maybe like a few seconds. And I want you to just think to yourself, and I want you to say out loud, and I know it's going to feel weird, sound weird. Say what you're feeling. Like, I feel frustrated. I feel stressed out. You know, give it a second. Say what you feel. Get it out. All right. So I'm hoping that at least you've thought about it. And I want you to know something helpful, which is everybody around you is feeling those same things. Now, most people don't talk about it, but you're feeling those things. I'm feeling those things. Your parents are feeling those things. You may notice even that your parents are a lot more stressed than they usually are. You may notice that they get more easily frustrated, or maybe they even have a shorter temper than they usually do. And it's because we're all experiencing these emotions right now. And these emotions impact everyone even in different ways. For example, you could find yourself having an upset stomach, having problems sleeping, all of those kinds of things. And those are all linked with emotions. But step one is naming what it is. Once you name what it is, then you can attack it. So we are going to name those feelings, make sure if you're feeling something, you name what it is. And now we're going to talk about what you do with that once you name it. So let's talk about some real strategies here. So first of all, when you're able to kind of name those feelings, there are specific methods in how you can begin to feel a bit better. And the first strategy is sharing those emotions with others. It helps you feel better, them feel better, and it's a very brave thing to do. Now, the reason why you want to kind of share those feelings with others, there's two reasons really. One is that it gets it out of you and able to share that with someone else. It gives them the opportunity to talk with you more about how they feel, which again, allows them to do that. And the other thing that it does is it starts to deflate that balloon. So when all of those feelings are internal, they begin to kind of siphon out, let some of the air out of that balloon a little bit. But it's more complicated than just telling other people how you feel. And you should do that. Name somebody that you trust. Think about it. Somebody that you trust, a parent, maybe both your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe a friend, and start to express how you feel. If you have a really great friend at school that you used to goof off and homeroom with, say, I really miss laughing with you during homeroom. Talk to them. If you have a family member that you trust and you've been feeling really sad lately or bored or lonely, talk to them about it. It's really important to get that stuff outside of you. But the second part of talking to someone about that and expressing that feeling to others is that you're responsible for taking action, doing something that's going to help you feel better. So again, you name your feeling, then you tell someone about that feeling, and then you take action. And taking action means you are responsible for doing something, and you have the power to do something to help yourself feel better. You know, so many people, adults included, never share to anyone when they're feeling badly. I mean, it's something that we see, and I see all the time. You have the opportunity to change that. Now, you have the opportunity to share it, and now you have the opportunity to do something about it. So here are some ideas I came up with of things you can do to help yourself feel better. One is super simple. Watch a movie that makes you laugh. Something fun, something funny. We all have those movies that we pop it in or we put it on Netflix and it cracks us up. Now is not the time for Halloween movies, scary stuff, horror films. You might like scary stuff, put that to the side. You want to put something in or play something that is going to make you smile, make you laugh, and make you excited. It's about changing your mood and making yourself feel better. But what if the specific thing you feel isn't really feeling sad, but maybe just feeling lonely? Well, there's a lot of things you can do about that too. You can Zoom, have a conversation, like kind of we're having right now. You can do Skype or FaceTime or Twitch. You know, play video games with friends. Find a way to connect with other people so that you can still have a relationship with them. Deal with that social component to mental health, be able to reach out and connect with them. And if you're not sure how to hook up, and maybe you're not as savvy in the media as many people are savvy online, ask someone to help you set that up. This is something you can do to still have conversations, have a good laugh, and even be able to play games with other people. But the third thing you can do is really learn something new. Something I hear sometimes is that people get bored. We're inside all the time. Now might be the chance to say, hey, you've always wanted to learn Spanish. Now's the time to learn Spanish. You want to go out in that garden and plant like the biggest tomato plant ever? Now is your time to do that. You want to try to build a robot? Now is your time to do that. You have something you want to do and you're so into and interested in? Now's the time. You can even share that with people on Zoom. You can share that on social media if you're able to be on social media. So there's so many ways of connecting. And I can't think of them all, and I don't know stuff that you want to do, but certainly think about it. Be creative. Find ways to take action. So you've named your feelings, you've shared them with others, and now you've taken some action. For a lot of people, that will make them feel a whole lot better. However, I'm kind of realistic. So sometimes you're going to have feelings that no matter, you're going to name them, right? I feel frustrated, or I feel scared, or I feel anxious. You're going to tell people about it, and you're going to take action. But then, late at night, you're sitting on the couch and it's still bothering you. It's still in your head. You're still thinking about it. Maybe it's still keeping you up at night. Well, there's a backup strategy that you have. And this is one of the most powerful strategies that people can use when they deal with emotions. Now remember, emotions are connected to how we think, and that's connected to our social behaviors. But this is going to be an important lesson that most people don't ever realize. So here we go. This is strategy number 2. It's our backup, and it's really important. Strategy 2 is called Rethink. And Rethink is based on the notion, the scientific principle really, that our thoughts actually create our emotions, and they can help to change them too. Most people believe that emotions come out of nowhere, right? We just automatically experience an emotion. But we know that that's not true. Our emotions come from how we think about things in our world. And so what you are thinking about determines how you feel. Now, we know that this is true, right? Like, if you think of something funny, you laugh, you feel happy, right? If you think of something sad, it makes you feel sad. It makes you then behave in a way that, you might cry, or, you may want to stay in your room. So how we think about things and what we think about determines how we feel. Now, if you know that information and you have that information, this is how we use that information to change how we feel. So this is where naming is really important. You've named your feeling, and let's say that your feeling is frustrated, right? You feel frustrated. You look outside, it's a beautiful day. You want to go outside and maybe play sports. You want to go outside, just do anything, but maybe you can't. So the first thing you need to do when you're looking at Rethink is to tell yourself, now remember, Rethink is thinking, but thinking again, right? So rethinking it. You want to look back and say, you're feeling frustrated, you know the feeling. What am I thinking to make myself feel this way? And I bet what you'll find is that your thoughts are also really frustrated thinking. Like, you may be thinking, I can't believe I can't go outside. I can't believe this is happening. I just really want to go out there. I can't believe this. All those thoughts would make anyone feel frustrated. But what if you got the same situation and you rethink it? You refocus on a different part of what's going on right now. Now, did you ever wonder why sometimes there are 2 people sitting in traffic and one is really frustrated, always dodging out of traffic, and one in traffic is just kind of hanging out, listening to the radio? They're in the same situation, but one's kind of laid back, and the other one really struggling, really frustrated. It's because of how they're thinking about the situation. And so in this case, if you're frustrated and then you're able to look back and say, what thoughts am I thinking right now? You can change what you focus on. So you may not be able to change the fact that you can't go outside, but what can you think about while you're inside? Well, if you can refocus and rethink it, you can refocus to some better parts of your life, right? It involves thinking about the same thing differently. So where we put our focus and our thinking is where our emotions are going to come from. So what's really good for you to think about right now? Well, what's going to make you feel better? Focusing on the things you can't do, or focusing on the things that you can do, or maybe how lucky you are, or how grateful you are. So it's okay to feel frustrated, but what if you thought about the amazing, I don't know, pizza you had for lunch, or the fact that you get to spend all this time with your dog that you never get to spend any time with, or the fact that your parents are around, maybe more than they've ever been, and you've gotten to do more things as a family. Or maybe you got to tackle some of those science experiments that you never got to because you never had time for, because you were always running everywhere. There are things to focus on and feel grateful for and to think about. And those are the things to place our thoughts when we're feeling really sad or frustrated. We think, what am I thinking about to cause myself to feel that way? What else can I be focusing on in this situation? Maybe I'm going to focus on the fact that I'm in a warm house and so many people have to live outside on the street. So many people don't have enough to eat. So many people don't even have their parents at home. Like, there are so many things that we can focus on to keep ourselves in a positive mindset and a positive place. Now, like I said, it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel all those things. But if we focus too much on negative things and scary thoughts or fears, we forget the positive stuff. And losing track of the positive makes us feel a whole lot worse. So we remind ourselves of the good things. It helps us to feel better. We can rethink things when we're struggling. And it gives us an opportunity to be grateful and to change the focus of our life, change how we're feeling in the moment, and to really begin to center on the things that are really important to getting us through to the next stage, to be our best self, and to be able to really be those helpers and still be in a good place ourselves with our mental health. So at the end of the day, yeah, we are soldiers in all of this. We are the helpers. And every time you don't go outside and socialize, and every time you aren't going to school, or you aren't doing the things that you're not supposed to do, at least yet, you are a part of saving lives. And that's something to be really proud of, and something to feel a lot of honor around. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. But when it does affect us, we can take steps and feel empowered to do things to help ourselves feel a little bit better. So I think that through our talk, at least I'm hoping, that we were able to learn a few different things. And let me just rehash these a little bit as we go through it, which is, what is mental health? A little bit of history, looking at that lock and knowing how far we've come. But also now we have some real strategies around what we can do when we're not feeling so great. And some of those strategies I want you to remember when you're feeling bad is to name those feelings, share them with others, take action, and then when all else fails, to rethink. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And I want to say also, before we go today, that, it's normal for yourself to feel a little off during this time. And if you've learned something through watching this about how to feel a little bit better, how to be a little bit happier during this time when some other people might really be struggling, I hope you share what you've learned with them. And keep doing the right thing. Keep doing all the things that you're doing now. Stay safe, be happy, and take care of your mental health.
Thank you.
All right. So I don't know if I should keep talking. Is this going to still be on? But
I think that was excellent. Does anybody have any questions for Julie about mental health?
Sure.
I think that was excellent.
Well, thank you. Do we have any questions at all? Did I cover them? Absolutely, everyone.
How important is exercise?
Excuse me?
How important is exercise?
Exercise can be incredibly helpful because it's one of those aspects where, physical health really feeds into mental health quite a bit. So, when you're exercising, you're actually changing, how you feel on a biological level. Just like, some of these Rethink exercises, one thing to know is by doing that exercise, you actually change how your brain functions. And maybe I should have incorporated that a little bit as well. But, by exercising, we change how we feel physically and how we feel emotionally. I think exercise is incredibly important. The more of it you can get in, the better you tend to feel cognitively, and it can really help our emotional state.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we all set?
I think so. Am I allowed to pass on your email in case any questions come up after this call that they can contact you for?
Absolutely. Feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care.